Good day, everybody. Snaplocket here, bringing you day 18 of Demonic Pacts reveals. And oh boy, they've done it. They've thrown out a relic in there that just completely derailed my entire plan. This is so exciting. We're going to try and go through this in an orderly fashion. I'm going to try to contain my excitement, which is really hard to contain right now because the reveals today are absolutely bonkers. So if you somehow missed it, they did a reveal live stream today. It was Mod Sarny, Mod Husky, and they were joined by Double Shine, Foe, and Skritic. It was a really awesome live stream. If you have not seen it, if you missed it, I highly recommend checking it out on the official Old School RuneScape YouTube channel. They basically stepped through the entire relic tier list and talked about what they think about them, how they feel about them for some different play styles, did some theory crafting on what could be good, what could be useful from different relics. There's also definitely a bunch of like clarification type stuff that we need to talk about today, but first and foremost, we should talk about what they revealed today, because during the live stream, we got 2 new relic reveals. Now I'm going to start with the first one that they revealed, which is the new tier 3 relic. That's right, we finally have every relic in the tier 3 category, and this one should be very familiar to everybody if you played last league or if you played Gridmaster last fall. The final tier 3 relic is Bank Heist making a return. When you take this relic, you will receive the Banker's Briefcase, which will allow you to teleport to any deposit box, bank, or bank chest. A very standard teleport relic, again, especially if you've used it in any of the previous 2 modes. It's useful, it's easy to wrap your head around. It might not be as exciting as Evil Eye or Map of Alacrity, but I don't think it's a terrible choice. Again, with these teleportation relics, I think you really need to look at what areas you are thinking about taking and then compare your different teleport options that you have, because I think some of these relics are going to be more useful with certain area combinations than others are going to be. Bank Heist, for example, I think is a really poor choice in the Wilderness region. Like, how many banks or deposit boxes are in that region? There's like one at Ferox and one at the Mage Bank, and I think that's it. Versus if you take Evil Eye, there are just bosses all over the Wilderness. You can go pretty much anywhere. So yeah, I think that's all I kind of want to say about Bank Heist. It's not that interesting of a relic to talk about because it's just pretty straightforward, but it is nice to know now what our options are in that tier 3 category. So if you have a decision made now, let me know in the comments down below. And I am kind of rushing ahead because I need to get to the second reveal. They finally revealed the final relic in the tier 7 category. Yes, the one that is going up against my beloved reloaded relic, the relic that I have been planning my entire league around. My entire plan up until this point has revolved around reloading into something. And I knew that the relic that it was going to go up against was going to make me second guess that decision, and boy oh boy did they knock it out of the park. We have a brand new relic with brand new abilities that go completely bonkers. Let me present to you Flow State. This is one of those relics that could be a little confusing to wrap your head around, so we will just try to go through this together. When you pick the Flow State relic, the following actions all occur at a rate of 2 ticks. So this increases the speed at which you do everything on this list: mining, woodcutting, fishing, cooking, fire making any logs or adding them to a bonfire, offering bones at a prayer altar, also all fletching activities, also all smelting and crafting activities, making bars, making cannonballs, glass blowing, making leather, making gold and silver, farming, and magic abilities. So you will harvest things faster, you will plant seeds faster, you will high and low alch faster, you will superheat items faster, you will use the transmutation spell faster. We will talk about that in a minute. It also works with some minigame interactions. So for Wintertot, you will chop bruma roots faster and you will light the brazier faster. You will fish in Temperos faster. It works with stealing valuables with the Varlamore house thieving activity. It also stacks with the fletching knife and diabolical worms. So diabolical worms allow you to catch anglerfish faster, and this will just stack with that. And the fletching knife increases the speed of your fletching abilities. So I think this takes all fletching abilities down to a single tick. And at first I thought this was like completely invalidating the fletching benefits that you get from the Woodsman relic, but it actually like stacks with it, because with Woodsman, yes, it'll process all the fletching items in your inventory at the same time, but you're still doing it at a standard speed. this will increase the speed at which you are consuming all of your fletching materials. So it's just boosting the power of the woodsman fletching even further here, which, oh god, the more I think about this relic, like the more options and benefits I see from it. When they revealed this on stream, I'm not even kidding you, my jaw dropped. The gathering benefits here pair really well with both Barbarian Gathering and Endless Harvest. I think that this does kind of bridge the gap for Endless Harvest users with some of those higher tier resources. Yes, you will still fail at the same rate, but the fact that you will make attempts faster maybe means that you can get some of those higher tier resources and gather them faster. And then obviously for Barbarian Gathering, I mean, you already had a super high success rate. Now you will just make those attempts that much more frequently. And the fact that it speeds up so many of these other processing skills, I mean, increasing the speed of cooking, the smelting and crafting boosts, I think are going to be really nice for people who were kind of lacking in those areas with their specific relic choices and region selections. This makes traditional smithing and crafting, I think, a lot more palatable just because you will do it more frequently. I don't know, man. I was really set on taking Reloaded, and now I am just rethinking my entire plan, which, I mean, already I have been all over the place in terms of what I've been leaning towards relic wise. I will say, as of yesterday, as of last night, my most recent theory crafting session before all the reveals today just derailed everything, this is what I was personally thinking of for relic choices. I was going to do Endless Harvest into Woodsman. I was going to take Evil Eye. I was going to take Transmutation in tier 4, and then Soul Harvest in tier 5, Culling Spree. Then I was going to reload into Conniving Clues as a clue solve, but I kept bouncing back and forth between reloading into Conniving Clues and Larcenist. I think when I woke up this morning, I was like, maybe I'll pick Larcenist instead. It's a good enough clue solve, and then I get the thieving benefits from it. And then for the tier 8 relic, I'm gonna wait until they reveal the final one. I'm not super heart set on anything in the tier 8 yet, but then when they revealed Flow State, I'm like, well, I've gotta take that, so I don't want to reload into anything. What the heck am I gonna do? So now I'm thinking Endless Harvest into Woodsman, Evil Eye, that portion doesn't change, also into Transmutation. Now I'm thinking that I'm just gonna straight up take Larcenist in tier 5 as a clue solve. I'm gonna forego Soul Harvest entirely. I will go Culling Spree into Flow State, and then again, I have no idea what I'm going to take for the tier 8. Now I will say I am planning on taking the desert region, and so I think Guardians of the Rift is going to be an okay rune crafting solve for me. And I think with Transmutation, that is going to solve my prayer situation enough. I am sad to be missing out on just the mad XP that you get from Soul Harvest. But I'm playing this league kind of for the long haul. I don't mind doing some of these grinds that take a little bit longer, and I just really want to play around with fun new relics, and things like Transmutation, things like Flow State are just so unique and interesting that I'm like, I kind of have to take them just for the fun factor. So in case you were curious where my head is at right now, these are the relics that I am currently considering taking, but my mind is going to flip-flop on this all day, all weekend, honestly, because there are still 2 relics that we don't know about. So yeah, before anybody says anything, I know with my relic selection, I don't have a solve for agility. I don't really have a solve for herblore. My herblore solve is kind of awkward. It's like, I'll get plenty of seeds from Woodsman. I can transmute them into whatever herb I need. Flow State does increase the speed that I can plant and harvest stuff, but I know that that's not going to be enough to be like a full herblore solve. But again, I'm not really playing this league personally to like solve every skill and do everything as fast as possible. I play leagues for the long haul. I don't mind if my league, you know, takes several weeks to get into the dragon tier. But even still, if you have any suggestions for my current relic selection, if you're like, oh, I think that maybe you could swap this for this, and it would just smooth things over a little bit, I am totally open to suggestions. That's the fun of theory crafting, is like talking about your different choices and how they compare to someone else's choices. Like, I know my relic selection here is probably going to be very unique, and I am totally fine with that. So yeah, Flow State to me looks like an incredible relic. If you have any thoughts about it, please let me know in those comments down below right now. What do you think about this relic? Are you excited for it? Is it enough to pull you away from your reloaded plans? What sorts of unique interactions can you think about with this relic? I want to know everything that you're thinking about it, so please let me know. I will say we did get a little bit of a teaser for the final tier 6 relic today in the live stream, and that is just that Mod Husky says that the tier 6 category is loosely a combat tier, and that the final relic is quote unquote mostly defensive. Mod Husky also said, quote, "It is a banger." So is it going to be enough to sway me away from Culling Spree? I don't know. I really want the Slayer benefits this league, and so it's going to have to be something pretty crazy to pull me away from Culling Spree personally. But that's kind of what I thought about Reloaded, and here we are with Flow State, and it is just yanking me off in the other direction. Flow State does some crazy things when it's paired with other relics. I want to call back to something that I said in the very first video when I was talking about Abundance. Abundance has this ability on it where every time you receive an XP drop, you gain an additional 2 XP in the same skill, and this is affected by the League XP modifiers. And when it came out, a lot of people were talking about it being like, oh my gosh, like 2 XP. I know it's boosted by League modifiers, but it's still not that much. And I remember saying, if they release a relic that increases the speed at which you get these XP drops, that is going to drastically improve what Abundance does for you in terms of passive XP. And that is exactly what Flow State does. It quite literally increases the speed at which you gain XP. And so now that extra 2 XP boosted by League modifiers that you get from Abundance probably starts to look pretty good because you're getting that bonus XP that much more frequently for all of these different skills. Likewise, I think it pairs incredibly well with Transmutation, as it increases the speed at which you can transmute stuff. Transmutation on its own, the spell takes 5 ticks to cast naturally, and so you can transmute, I think people are saying around 12,000 materials per hour. Flow State decreases the speed of that spell from 5 ticks to 2 ticks, so it more than doubles the speed at which you can do this stuff. And I'm seeing people throw estimates out that you will be able to transmute 30,000 materials per hour, which is absolutely bonkers. Like, there were some materials that people were like, it's really not going to be worth it to, you know, take certain things, maybe your low level bones all the way up to superior bones, just because it's going to take so long to actually do that. But because this more than doubles the speed at which you can transmute things, now a lot of those like multi-step transmutation processes look a lot more appealing to actually do. Wow, oh wow, what an exciting day. All right, so to close today's video off, there's a little bit more FAQ information that has been posted on the League's Discord that I thought we could go through. I don't know if I want to touch on every single thing that's been said here. I'm going to pull up on screen right now a big collection of answers that have to do with Demonic Pacts, as obviously there's been a lot of discussion surrounding these ever since, you know, they released them, and people are trying to figure out certain nuances of various builds. And so they've answered quite a few little questions on here. If you're interested in any of this stuff, you know, you can take a look at this list right here and then go check out the League's Discord, you know, if you want further information about this stuff. Since a lot of it is like hyper specific to kind of nuanced situations, I don't know if it's super interesting to go through every single one in detail. There is some interesting stuff on here. Like, for example, it's cool they've clarified that you can attack flying targets with the melee ranged build. So any of the Demonic Pacts that increase your melee distance attack, that can be used to attack flying creatures like the grotesque gargoyles boss or Kriara in the God Wars dungeon. We do have clarification here that Chinchompas do benefit from the regeneration effect, so that is really cool. And I think that pretty much seals the deal on whether or not like thrown ammo is going to count towards this, because I know that I was confused about it yesterday, and I think some of you in the comments were as well, since the main regeneration effect only states runes ammo and charges. I wasn't sure if that meant thrown ammunition, you know, like throwing knives, darts, but since it works for Chinchompas, I don't see why it wouldn't work for things like darts and thrown weapons and stuff. So I think it's safe to assume at this point that just any type of ammunition, whether it's coming from the ammo slot, whether it's coming from, you know, your main hand, or whether it's ammunition that's stored within something like a blowpipe, I think it's all going to function with this regeneration effect. I think one other interesting one to talk about here for Tehran pickers is that they clarified that the gauntlet staff does go down to a 1-tick attack speed with the relic that drops powered staffs by 3 ticks. So that's cool. That thing is going to be a monster inside the gauntlet. And then finally, let's talk about some clarifications regarding Soul Harvest and how it works with farming and how it works with Nature's Accord. The last one down here states that Soul Harvest does work on farming patches that have like a check health, because the way that the relic is worded seemed to imply that you would only get soul shards from like harvesting stuff. So only if you're actually picking stuff, and people weren't sure if it worked for farming actions that just involve, you know, checking the health of something like a tree. When a tree is fully grown, you know, you don't walk up to it and harvest off of it. You like check the health of it, and that's what gives you the XP drop. And people wanted to make sure that that did provide soul shards as well, and they have confirmed that that is the case. So basically, you know, checking the health, harvesting anything, any of those, like the crop is ready and I'm gonna get XP from it, that will give you soul shards. Again, with the one exception being that it does not work in Tithe Farm, because they stated that yesterday or the day before. Honestly, all the days are kind of blurring together for me. But there is some more information here, and this is surrounding how Soul Harvest works with Nature's Accord. Husky's trying really, really hard to clarify exactly what's going on with these two relics and how they play with each other. And he actually clarified this further on stream, and so I'm going to try and summarize exactly what he's trying to talk about here. First of all, Soul Harvest does not benefit from like the 10x yield that Nature's Accord grants. But furthermore, on stream, he was basically talking about how Soul Harvest really only benefits from like the base experience that you get from checking stuff. So I don't think it even works with League multipliers, at least for the purposes of getting soul shards. So, you know, like as your League multiplier goes up, or if you had Nature's Accord and, you know, you're farming, the farming XP that you're getting from harvesting things is going way up, that does not equate to receiving more soul shards from farming. It sounds like the soul shards that you get from harvesting things, from checking the health and stuff, that's going to remain consistent regardless of what your XP modifier is and regardless of what other potential like XP buffs you have, or, you know, resource buff like yield buffs like Nature's Accord has. Because Husky was basically just saying that like if it worked that way, if you got boosted soul shards from, you know, boosted XP, and then also you get boosted XP when you're using the soul shards on rune crafting, it was just like double dipping in terms of like how much runecraft and prayer XP you're actually getting from it. So they had to cut it off on, you know, one end of that spectrum, and they did it right at the beginning. So Soul Harvest, it's still a very good relic. It's still an incredible runecraft solve. It's still an incredible prayer solve. You will still be getting a lot of these soul shards, but it's not going to be quite as busted as people were saying, where they were like, oh, you can just take Nature's Accord, you know, and with the League multipliers, like you're just going to get so many soul shards. It sounds like you're going to get fewer than some people were hoping. And he does say here he's going to try to workshop the description of the Soul Harvest relic itself to make it more clear exactly what's going on here. So expect that relic description to be updated at least once we hit the actual League go time. But yeah, I thought that that was you know, useful information to share around, as people were probably very interested in Soul Harvest. I still think it's a fantastic relic. So yeah, I think that is all of the info that I wanted to share with you all today. It was a very, very exciting day in terms of reveals, and it only gets more exciting because remember, tomorrow is April 10th. It is the day that they are going to reveal all of the Echo Boss information. So expect a really big blog to drop with information about that. And I think Skritic has also put together a video explaining all the Echo Bosses and all the Echo rewards and what they do. So expect all of that information to be posted tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I'm planning for tomorrow's video to be a deep dive into all of the Echo Bosses and their Echo items and their effects. And we'll just go through them one by one and talk about them and just get super hyped up. And I am hoping that the rewards don't derail my plan even further, because as of right now, I'm kind of locked in with Kandarin, Zaya, and Desert as my regions. But I just know that like the battle hat that you get from the Fremennik region, or like the crystal blessing you get in Taranwen, I know there's going to be an Echo item that appears that is going to really pull me hard away from my set regions that I have. So we're gonna see if that happens. I am curious if any of you have your regions locked in place, or if you are waiting for Echo information to come up before you make those final decisions. Please let me know all of that in the comments down below. Let me know everything you think about today's reveals. Again, are you excited about the relics that they revealed today? Are you excited for Echo Bosses? How is your plan looking? Now that we're getting very, very close to the league, I think a lot of people are getting their plans more locked in place. The more reveals we get, the easier it is to do that. Are there still things that you're flip-flopping on? Are you even maybe gonna wait until the league is running, you know, and you can see other people take relics that you're considering and see them actually test them out live in the game before you make those sorts of decisions? I know that's a strategy for a lot of people. Let me know everything you're thinking in the comment section down below. And you know what, while you are down there, go ahead and click that like button, maybe even click that subscribe button. You can also turn on notifications so that you are notified when I post these daily update videos. I am so excited. My brain is going to be theory crafting about these new reveals all day today. I cannot wait for tomorrow's reveals, so I will see all of you then. Goodbye and good luck.